Good morning, Broncos country. What is going on? It is your boy Marky Sports here. We're just hanging out, man. Happy Saturday to everybody. It is a cold, now snowy Saturday here in Denver, and we never know what the hell kind of weather we're gonna get. It's just kind of how we operate here in the Mile High City. But man, what a weekend! If you're a Denver sports fan like I am, all of a sudden I'm getting hoarse. It was a hell of a week of sports, man. I mean, unbelievable. Monday we had the iconic shot of the buzzer beater from Jamal Murray. Then you go down to Tuesday, Avs get a big win. The goalie rebounds. Wednesday was a boring day. We all kind of rested our blood pressure. Thursday, Bo Nix was drafted. Friday, and Bo Nix was drafted, and the Nuggets just dominate the Lakers again. And then Friday we ended up drafting Jonah Ellis. The Broncos, and it wasn't really that exciting of a draft day. But we got one pick. I was hoping we'd get a second one, but we got one pick. But then the talk about the Avs last night. My goodness, man, that was fun to watch. It was a grind for two periods. Georgiev again, back to back on a beautiful performance by him. He did awesome. He had a huge save to keep it from going 3-1. And then that third period started, and bang, a five goal third period to end up absolutely dominating the Jets. Good to see, man, because when this team is clicking and the goalie's not falling on his face like he was for the first game, and then obviously the few games prior. It's good. So it's good to see that we stuck with him. It's good to see that he switched something up to get over it, because he looked great, and he has absolutely outplayed the best goalie, the Vezina winner, and Connor Hellebuck, who we've demolished. 16 goals in 3 games. It's crazy. So shout out to Avs, man. It's gonna be a grind of a series, though. This Jets team ain't gonna go away. The Lakers series is over. Um, and so once it's officially done, we'll look forward to them most likely playing Minnesota. That's going to be a hell of a series. That might be an all timer. But shout out to the Avs, man. It was awesome to see. Broncos drafted Jonah Ellis yesterday. To be honest with you, I didn't really do too much digging into the draft as I have in prior years. Firstly, I've just been super busy, to be honest with you, with work and a lot of other things. But I've been so hell bent and focused on doing all of my attention on the quarterbacks. I kind of started to look at these guys like as the draft progressed. Um, and so right now, I think our top needs as a team, right, going into day three. Day three should be exciting. We have 6 picks now. It could end up being a little bit less if we move up. It could ultimately end up being more if we trade Sutton or move up or move back. So I think 6 is a really good number. Obviously, we can get a lot of undrafted guys, and this is the part of the draft where you really build what people call like the meat and potatoes of your team, right? The depth pieces. But it's tough because you look at the roster, we could also use some like impact day one starters. And to say that there's impact day one starters at this part of the draft is even more of a crapshoot, right? I mean, nobody's gonna for sure be like, this is the guy. I mean, there's some guys that probably drop because of medicals that have all the talent and all that. But what I try to look at is say, okay, where can we add depth at a position of need where we need a lot of upside too? So I think right now the biggest needs that we have in order, in my opinion, is tight end, defensive line, wide receiver, running back, tackle, roughly. You can probably mix the bottom three up a little bit. And so when you look at the reason I rank tight end over defensive line is because I think you have a higher chance of actually getting a day one impact tight end at this part of the draft than you do a D lineman. But you have to get both, maybe even two D linemen. Somebody that uh, projects to be a little bit more of that nose, 320, 330 pound guy, run stuffer, can clog it up. But those guys historically, they take a few years to develop into the guys that you want, right? I mean, even look at Sylvester Williams a few years back when we drafted him. It took him 2, 3 years to reach that potential of being an actual, good interior defensive lineman. I'm gonna be interested to see when and if we end up getting Ioma Owuzurike reinstated. He was somebody that I was really intrigued by when he came out because he played all over the D line. He played 5 tech, 3 tech, 1 tech. He would cause pass rush from the inside, from the outside, in his days at Iowa State, and he's a physical freak. He was a physical freak. So obviously he made some incredibly stupid decisions. His rookie season, he showed some flashes here and there. He was more of that depth piece. He made some unbelievably dumb decisions, but he had the year off. So if he could just get his mind right, surround himself by better people, stay out of trouble, he's an intriguing body to add to the room because we definitely need talent in the defensive line room. Is it terrible the way that it's set up now? No, but that's barring injury, right? So we'll see with him, but I'd like to see us add a couple bodies there, some people that we think can really progress and be able to have some high upside. Tight end is interesting. There's a lot of guys, Chatavion Sanders from Texas. You think to yourself, okay, he's ranked highly, like at a lot of different, um, uh, you know, draft prospect, you know, websites. Jesus, Mark, get your mind together. You know, PFF's got him ranked high. The best available on ESPN's got is ranked high. You know, mock draft football, Walter football. A lot of these respective places, they're all pretty consistently rank him in the same area, and that's like the second or the third best tight end in this draft. So the fact that he dropped, is it weird? I mean, I wouldn't say he's technically dropped. He was maybe projected to be a third rounder. We're just starting the fourth, so maybe a little bit, but there's always things that we don't know about, character stuff, medicals that could drop these guys. But he's somebody that's intriguing. I've always really been high on Theo Johnson, on the tight end position, because I did a little bit of work on him too after the combine specifically. I think he's somebody that can be intriguing. There's a lot of that. And then when you look at the receiver room, I mean, man, the fact that Troy Franklin is dropped was surprising to most. But it was funny because I was kind of, when I was looking into Bo Nix a lot, I was noticing a lot of the Oregon offense. And I figured what's funny about him is it's easy to judge the quarterback in that offense because he's so involved. He's the focal point. But when you look at the other skill position players, they might not be. And Franklin is somebody that, yeah, he looks explosive and yeah, he makes these big plays. He's undersized, he's a little bit skinny. So I'm not really shocked that he dropped. I think, maybe that there's a lot of concerns there. But when you look at the Broncos receiver room, it's very confusing, in my opinion, right? Because and I don't hate the room as much as a lot of other people do. Like with Sutton and Patrick, Tim Patrick is really that X factor. It's like, can he just be 80% himself and stay healthy? And that'll answer a lot of questions. Josh Reynolds, somebody that I really liked as a piece to come in and kind of replace Jerry Jeudy in that role. He can play in the slot, he can play outside. Obviously, I'm super excited to see how Marvin Mims takes that next step. I love Brandon Johnson, always have. So it's a good mix of like guys that are, developmental, that have a lot of high upside still. And then we got some veteran guys. But what we are missing is a true slot, right? Or a true bona fide number one, right? Because say what you want. I mean, Sutton is not really a bona fide number one. He can be your number one, but he's not going to be that special at it. And you can't trust Tim Patrick to be that guy when he kind of profiled to be it. So we don't have that bona fide, true number one wide receiver, which is like, that's what we need. But are you going to get that confidently in round 4 and 5? You can. There's plenty of examples out there of like really, really effective bona fide stud, wide receiver ones that get drafted later. But it's definitely not as common. And if you notice a trend, of all the positions drafted in the NFL draft, receiver is consistently that one where if you look at all the top receivers in the NFL, they're usually first, second, or third round picks. It just is what it is. It seems like NFL scouts have gotten really good at being able to, you know, project how a receiver is going to be in the NFL, and they typically get it right. Um, And so, we'll see. But there's guys out there that I'm really intrigued by. Like I'm kind of a little bit lower on Troy Franklin than a lot of other people. A lot of people are like, well, get Bo Nix, his former teammate. I don't want to fall into that trap. I just don't know where he fits in terms of what it is that we want him to do, right? He's kind of like Marvin Mims in a sense of like where he would fit in the offense. I think Marvin Mims has got a little bit more pop, a little bit more physicality to him. He's not as tall, but he's definitely thicker built. He's got some more juice. He's got a little bit more experience. So he doesn't really fit, I think, with where we want. Brandon Rice, same kind of thing. I mean, he's more of that physical. So Brandon Rice and I think Javon Baker from UCF are guys that I feel like, okay, they could maybe project to be a little bit more. They have that wide receiver one upside, right? And then a lot of people like Cecil Lammy are really high on Malik Washington. Don't know too much about him, but he's just a name that I wanted to throw out there. But somebody that I've always been really, really intrigued by, and that there are some people talking about him, is Jacob Counting, right, from Arizona. I remember somebody bringing him up. I think it was Field Yates or someone talking about him. They said this guy's got the juice. Now, when you look at him, he's 5'8". He's literally shorter than me, which is wild. And he's 168 pounds, which is my weight. Now, not comparing myself to him physically. So he's very undersized. But they say that this guy is a dangerous slot receiver. He's a guy that's got short area quickness. He's got some pop. So I'll look into him a little bit more. But he's somebody that's intriguing because he could add a different element potentially to the room that we have. And I still think we should go out and look at adding somebody like a Hunter Renfrow, man, because we need that short area, get open guy across the middle, a safety net for for your young quarterback. It's important. And I like going after that position more with somebody that's a little bit more of a veteran. You know, you can trust, you can teach them, they can grow together. They got that experience. So we'll see, but Jacob Counting. But I think we've taken a receiver or two in these next six picks. In terms of defensive line and D tackle, there's a lot of guys. There's a lot of guys. There's like a Makai Wingo, who's a little bit projects to be more of a three tech. So I don't know the kind of fit that he has. There's Jordan Jefferson from LSU. He's a little bit more of that nose, right? He's somebody that could be more of that run clogger, a little bit bigger, pretty strong guy, can stop the run. You know, and then there was a lot of talk out of the Senior Bowl from Andrew Mason and Cecil Lammy too about Fabian Lovett, right? And this guy's 6'4". Let me look it up real quick. 6'5", 6'4", 314. So he's a little bit more of a three tech, but he could also be moved inside. And they said that he's just somebody that's really, really, really powerful, really strong, good against the run too. So there's a lot of guys that are intriguing, here on the defensive tackle group. But those are just some names to throw out there. Like I said, guys, I haven't really done a lot of work outside of really wide receivers, tight ends, and obviously quarterbacks. And then we need to add juice in the run game. Our our receiver room and a running back room are one of those rooms that like are confusing, right? Because you can make the argument that we're fine there. We've got good depth. We've got some guys that are really that can bring some pop and some juice to this offense. They got developmental traits. Like I love Julio McLaughlin. I really do. And I feel like if we actually featured him in the offense, he could be really special. Catch the ball well, but he's also got downsides. How can he be in pass protected? Can he be a third down back? How is his body going to be able to handle a full time workload? So there's a lot of those questions. And then Samaje Perine and Javante, they're just fine. Like I am the biggest Javante Williams fan, and I cannot tell you how impressed I was by him making the recovery, coming out, and staying healthy all season. But unless he looks more like his original self coming off that injury, and maybe a year off does, it wasn't good enough what he put on tape last year, man. It just was not good enough. And we are going to need to rely heavily on this run game. So if he can look like his, you know, pre-injury self, oh, we're good. We're good with him and Javante. With him and Jaleel, we are good. But that's a big if. And there's a lot of receivers, man, there's a lot of running backs, I mean, that are intriguing. And one for me that I've always been intrigued by, and it wasn't just because he popped off in the combine. His combine performance made me kind of go back in and look at him a little bit. And that's Isaac Urendo from Louisville. Hopefully I'm saying his name right. I mean, when a guy is 6 foot, 221, right? He ran up 4.3 something 40 at 221 pounds. But you look at him and he's not only physical, but he catches the ball. I mean, the dude catches the ball out of the backfield. That to me screams somebody that like, yeah, Sean Payton would want him, right? A big physical back that's got juice, but is what people call a natural hands catcher. Yeah, yeah, I'll take that. Give me that all day. He's somebody that's like, bring him into the room and let him compete. Some people have talked about Bucky Irving or Ray Davis as people that can potentially fit. Um, and so we're gonna see, man. But I really like Gurendo because he kind of brings something to the room we don't have. He's a physical, big-bodied runner. We have that with Javante, right? But he's got a lot more twitch, a lot more speed than Javante. That kind of mirrors what Julian McLaughlin has. But he's a great pass catcher. So this is the one guy left in the draft that you can look at and be like, man, he projects and he profiles to be a three down back. So it's exciting. I'd love to see. Write it in the comments. I'd love to be able to see what you guys think. Right. And again, guys, shout out to David Talks Broncos. Shout out to Jeremy, Sean A, and shout out to a lot of these local groups. When I started this channel, I really wanted it to just be something fun. It was more of a hobby for me. I wanted to create a little bit of a community and get some guys that I've never met, make new friends that can come onto the show. But I never really realized how big the local community is, man. How everybody's kind of interconnected, and so I appreciate you guys. David Talk Broncos, you're always putting out some great content. And what I appreciate about his channel, so go check him out. Let's get the guy to 500 subs. But what I really appreciate about David Talks Broncos' channel is that he's one of the few guys in in the media. I guess I wouldn't call it the media, but like in the sports community, that'll just sit there and say, you know what? these guys influenced me to open up my eyes to this, or I was wrong about this and I didn't realize that. He's got that humble approach to where he's not hell bent on one type of a narrative, and that's what I like about us little people in this industry, right? That are we don't have a lot of followers, but we also don't have any kind of an agenda to push. We're not trying to make a point or be right or be wrong. We're just trying to create conversation, open up our minds to different things, and see how it goes. So I appreciate all y'all. Hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. I'm excited about the draft. We'll have a recap video, obviously. But as usual, my high salute to you guys all, and peace out. Enjoy your weekend, guys.